So, hey guys, welcome back. My name is Brian Waters, fire captain out in Los Angeles. Welcome to the Rental Property Playbook. I'm messing around with names. Before it was the First Responder Real Estate Academy. I want you guys to vote what you like better, and I just don't want to pigeonhole just to first responders. I want to welcome everyone who wants to learn about real estate, and that's the purpose of this. So today we have Fire Captain Lukas Carter coming up from Folsom. How you doing, Lukas? Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. So before we get into it, are most fire captains allowed these crazy beards that you got going on? What's happening right now?
That's a negative. Yeah, it's the mustache, as you know, that we're all famous. But I am off work due to a shoulder injury. And the young daughters asked me to grow a beard before I go back. So I'm hoping to be back in probably another 3 or 4 weeks. So
nice. Well, yeah. I feel bad for the people who are just listening on Spotify because it looks good on you, man. I wish you had a beard, and I encourage everyone to go watch this over on YouTube. So just so we're clear, this is what two fire captains do when they're not working. We love just dorking out on real estate, and Lukas and I have been talking a lot about doing the rental property stuff. In fact, I feel like he's a twin brother that's been separated from me because we have a lot of the similar stories from growing up with coaches as fathers. We have almost the same number of properties. We both have shoulder injuries. If you tell me it's your right shoulder, I'm going to think that I'm actually just talking to myself. What shoulder is injured?
It's the right shoulder.
Oh, man. All right. I knew it. So tell me what department you work for. Tell me a little bit about it. Is it a big department, small department? Where is it at? For those of you who are around the country.
It's Folsom, right outside Sacramento. It's a burger town. We have 6 stations.
Nice.
About 80 personnel.
Okay. And
about 95,000.
And how long have you been over there before?
I've been here since 2002. Yeah, so we're going to 24 years now. A little bit of time with Cal Fire and some volunteer work before I got picked up full time. So
awesome. And so how old were you when you got hired?
I was 22 full time. Yeah, at 22. So part time stuff before that. But yeah.
Nice. Looks like you had your stuff together pretty early there. What, I always like to transition a little bit about your department, and you're a captain, correct?
Correct.
So, what got you into real estate? Like, what sprung your interest in doing the real estate stuff? Because a lot of guys on the job, they put their head down, they grind for that 30 years, and then at the end of it, they have a great pension, and then they retire into the sunset. And so, what got you into that world of real estate?
It was kind of multiple things. If I wasn't a fireman, I think I'd probably do something in trades. So that was always something that kind of interests me. And but got into the fire service lucky enough. But my dad, again, he's a little bit of a landlord, not the best one by any means. Never scaled or grew or just a very hands-on guy. So that was the issue. He'll have a vacancy for way too long because he wants to do all the work himself. But yeah, I think what got me into probably a little bit of that, but obviously the purple book we all read that we probably hand out. I know I have copies that I hand out to people too to get them going. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then just wanting to secure a second stream of income and not. I've always been fearful of other cities, states, pensions have failed. So I've kind of always been a little bit fearful that our pension may not be there. So I wanted to get something set up,
And what was it about? Because the book he's talking about, everyone, if you haven't read it, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's funny that when you ask people that question, it's the most common answer, but it just makes sense because when people read it, they actually have this epiphany moment. What was it in that book that actually kind of spoke to you?
I think it's just a real good understanding of assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
And then that book kind of gets you going down the rabbit hole of Robert Kiyosaki and looking in at stocks and bonds in our pension system and who stole our pension, hit that book. So it really makes you want to secure not your future, you be in direct control of your future versus our pension funds.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an easy read. Honestly, I don't know if I didn't read a lot. I would consider myself an average reader at best. And when I read it, I was one of the first books I actually read from beginning to end in like a day or two. I was like, wow, there's big words or big letters. It's not a long read, and it really speaks to the basics of understanding that. So on that note, we've heard some crazy stuff at the fire table, and not to put you on the spot, but what are some of the other things that you've heard that kind of like, if you could think of one, and if not, we can kind of explore it more. But I've heard some crazy stuff of people doing at the fire station. What's the craziest stuff that you've seen guys or girls around you do, and like, did they regret doing that? Like, can you think of anything off the top of your head?
That's a good question. So you're referring to like investment to make money?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Probably the biggest thing is not taking any action. Probably that's the craziest thing, you know, of just living paycheck to paycheck, and doing nothing at all. Relying 100% that your pension is going to be there. That's probably the craziest thing. And then the meme stock, the cryptos, which I wouldn't say I'm guilty. I kind of do a little research, and I'm more of a buy and hold, like real estate. I know I want some exposure to Bitcoin and precious metals. But the craziest thing is probably, doing nothing. Just sit there and scrolling and wasting your time at the firehouse. It's probably crazy.
I wonder why that is. I don't know if there's certain people that just have a type A personality versus not. And this is not, I love my fire brothers and sisters to death, and I've been in that position, and this is not a call out to them. I mean, like I said, it's a backwards way to call people out, but for people who don't understand the fire service, there's the way the day goes is you get in there, you check out your equipment, you get your stuff on the rigs, you prepare, you wash the rig, keep everything tight. We talk about the day, and we work out and we shower and we're dressed ready for the public. There's a lot that goes on, and then we're just ready for anything at any moment. Depending on the station you're at, it could be super, super busy. It could be very slow. We're working on tools, we're training. There's a lot of stuff in between, but in that downtime, I've seen this with myself. So I'm kind of looking in the mirror as I say this, but I've seen a lot of myself and a lot of other people just mindlessly scrolling, wasting time, watching the same show for the 50th time in a row. And I think some of that it's good for your mentality, like just to have that relaxing thing. But do you think there's a better or other productive things you could be doing at work? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that goes back to the scrolling. Like everything you just said. Yeah, the scrolling, mindless scrolling, the watching the same shows. I mean, at least pick up YouTube and try to learn something. Tune to your channel, right? Get on school, anything. Learn anything. Doesn't have to be real estate, but we're fortunate to have, not every day, like you said. There's some, but we have downtime. Use it wisely. Do something with your downtime.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I'm guilty of that too. I literally had to set, because I do social media, I had to set a timer on my Instagram where it just shuts off and it won't let me back on, because, I'm speaking to myself here. I'm just as guilty, but I do believe there's a lot of time that, and it doesn't have to be real estate. It could be any hobby, could be any way to make yourself better, whether it's fitness or reading the books or just whatever. So, I highly encourage people that are in our world to challenge themselves to that. So, let's get back into your real estate stuff. So I want to know, like, you said you started early, kind of followed the footsteps of your dad. Tell me about your first property that was not your primary residence. Like, all of a sudden, you know what? Lukas wants to buy a rental property. Tell me where it was, a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, the first was a house hack before we had a name for it. So, but the actual first one I wasn't living in was out of state. It didn't quite make sense in California. We had it was 05, 06. Like, it's kind of when I was like, I want to get into real estate, So started dabbling, reading the books, and it was post Hurricane Katrina, right? So Louisiana, and they were offering major tax incentives for investors to come in there and invest in that state. So Baton Rouge, I think it's about 100 miles in, new construction, but the go zone property is what they call it. It's like the kind of same benefits of the opportunity zone right now. Familiar with this? So it's that bonus depreciation that first year. But I bought a single family house in 06 and 07. And it basically, both of those years have wiped out, pretty much, I think, all my W-2 taxes. So I looked at it as a free house, basically, cover the down payment. So, yeah. And then after that, I came back to California because that's when all the prices really started to crash.
So I want to explore something that you talked about. I think it's really important. It's one of the main things that I love to one of the main reasons why I got into this. We both are captains out here in California. We pay a lot of taxes. That we're probably the most taxed state in the country, maybe New York or something. But one of my main mantras for the people, let's go back to the fire table. We'll sit around. It's tax season right now, and there's always a season of what's the hot topic. And right now, everyone's talking about taxes around the kitchen table. And there's two things that happen: people either figure it out or they complain about it. And so I live in a world of figuring stuff out, right? And so one of the main benefits of real estate in particular is tax advantages. And I'm starting to see a lot of people in our community, a lot of people that have been doing the real estate stuff through through our program have been seeing massive tax returns. We're talking $30,000-$40,000. So like how did that help you? Like when you bought those properties, how were you able to get tax, like how to pay less in taxes or even get returns? Because I think people would want to know that, right? I think it's a really good benefit.
So you want to use those first two examples, Brian?
Yeah, let's just talk about those just because those were your first ones. And yeah.
Yeah. So again, the same thing. It basically, they gave you that rather than it's the land, right? Whatever the land value is, and they take a look at your property. So we'll just simple numbers. We'll say $150,000 house. The land's valued at $25K. So you have $125,000 that you're going to be able to write off over the next 27 and a half years. So they allow, I'm pretty sure the bonus too, they were giving you extra. Don't quote me or remind me, but anyhow, if it was either 100% up front that you were able to use that first year or the bonus on top of it. So again, it pretty much wiped out my down payment on those houses those years. So so the first year, I got a big massive check back, and I was like, yeah, let's do this again. And so did it the second year. I actually flew out there. I can't remember if I went out there twice, but I was in contract for the second house, and it was I think it was a DR Horton, but the construction was the quality was crap. I mean, complete shit. So I got out of that deal when I was there, found another one to deploy some funds in. So yeah, that's how it works out. And then, it kind of keeps scaling and adding properties, and there was no go zone or bonus depreciation, but just the slow and steady, depreciation of the 27 and a half years has done me well over the years until, I've held stuff for quite some time, so it starts kind of slowing down in the later years. But I had a failed 1031, which ate up a lot, because what you don't use rolls over to the following year is a nice thing as well. So I had a bucket of unused protection, we'll say, and I had a failed 1031, which that's for the audience. That's say you want to defer any capital gains on a sale of a property, you would roll it in within 180 days to a new purchase, and you can kind of basically defer, and the day you do pass away, those deferreds are basically wiped clean and a clean slate to your heirs. But anyhow, I had a failed 1031, and I really didn't still have to pay too many taxes because I had that large bucket of depreciation that I hadn't used over the years. I wasn't able to.
And how did it fail? Like how?
Just not time frame, basically. Yeah, I went over it with a builder that was, overpromised on delivering. Yeah, it was COVID time, and so there was some supply shock issues, but yeah, they definitely overpromised, underdelivered.
Yeah.
Time frame. So yeah.
So I love that you're using the taxes for that same reason. And one thing I talk to a lot about, at least the guys and girls at my department, is if you were to go save up, you do have to have capital. I don't want to make it seem like you just could start with zero. I think that's a disservice to people. So you do have to have capital, right, to get started. Right. But once you get into your first property and your second and your third, what we're doing inside our community is we're actually teaching people how to turn these into portfolio management companies, where they turn it into an active business. And this is where it gets, this is a really technical name, but this is where it gets really sexy. Okay. And the reason it is sexy is because we're paying so much in taxes that you're allowed to take those write-offs let's just say we eat food, we have phones, we travel. We're able to put those into an active business bucket over here on the left side, and then we're able to write those off against our W-2 income. So we're starting to see a lot of people get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in taxes back. They're not going to spend money that they weren't going to spend anyway. It's just the IRS and the tax code is written for real estate investors. And so, if you get nothing out of this talk between Lukas and I today, just talk to yourself and go, would I rather buy 2 or 3 rentals and be done and utilize the tax code than have to continue for the next 15 years working 60, 70 overtimes? That's the equivalent. That's it. So we're trying to make this super basic for you. And obviously when you do it, there's ways to set it up appropriately. But to me, the biggest benefit I've seen in my life is actually through the tax benefits. Every year now I'm getting a tax return that I can go and I could buy another property with. And I'm not going to work and spending time away from the family to do that. So, I appreciate you sharing your tax stuff with us, but it's one of the biggest benefits. It truthfully is. So then you got those couple properties. For those of us who are doing out of state, which is a lot of us, and there's a lot of people who are really fearful of it. Like, is out of state investing that much harder than in-state investing? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think it's the nice thing is you can't drive the property, so you're gonna save some time. Feeling like
Love that.
very, like you said, type A. Most of us are very hands-on. So something comes up, and whether it be 15 minutes away or an hour away from you, most of us would probably go drive out to the property, which isn't a bad thing, especially early on, because you learn so much early on. That's kind of got me to where I'm at now. But yeah, out of state I would say it's the way to go. Unless you're in an area where it makes sense, and then you can absolutely crush it. But where we're at in California, I would definitely say take your dollars elsewhere. Because rents don't change that much for a standard cookie cutter 3 and 2 over the US, right? I mean, they fluctuate definitely in the high price markets, but most places we invest, they're not that much off, right? But what is off is the purchase price.
Yeah, I agree more. And I think one thing I would add in there is get into landlord friendly states. And but probably the best thing that you said, again, which is why I think we're twins here, is I know myself too well. I want everyone to challenge themselves to ask their why. And everyone's gonna have a different reason. It could be money, which is fine. It could be family time. It could be not having to work 30, 40 years in the fire service. Whatever your why is, most of the time it comes back to spending more time with your kids if you have them, or just getting more time back with yourself. If you want another job, then get a property that's right next to you and do a full flip on it. And that's a full job. So for me, I can't drive to my properties. I've only been to a handful of them out of state. And I like that because I have that team and that system to do it for me. It's not as scary as you think it is. It just keeps me from, even though today is my off day and it's your off day, I'm geeking out on real estate. I'm not over there trying to fix a toilet because I don't even know how to do that, to be honest. And so I think that's probably a good point you made about why you do it there.
And the funny thing is, Brian, I think I've trained myself over the years now. Like, I still have 3 properties that are, within 25 minutes of where I live. And those might as well be out of state because I don't even drive by them. If I need, maybe if I'm like really close, I might drive, like I haven't seen this house in a year and a half. But yeah, if any repairs come up, he's pretty much, I'm not doing them at all anymore or going over there. If I have maybe a really bad turn, maybe I'll go over there to source some materials or something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty hands off on even the ones that are close by now.
Yeah, I think if you trust your team, and it's a revolving, what's a revolving door? It's a revolving process. Like your team's not gonna be perfect right out of the gate. So on that note, I think one of the biggest challenges for investors going to look out of state is starting to build their team. So how did you, besides the incentives, because that's probably why you chose those areas, like how did you actually find someone to manage it? How did you find a contractor? Is there any like secret lessons you can give to the listeners? Because I get that question all the time. I don't want to do this because I don't have a contractor there. Like, what would you say to that?
I think first off is that gave me the confidence is I managed my own properties for a while and did all the rehab myself. So I was somewhat comfortable on what stuff should cost, and somebody was, blowing smoke your way. But it's just building a team, make the phone calls. You're going to come across bad property managers, or someone that could start off good and they turn bad. So I think it's just getting on the phone and asking for references. And usually once you find one person, they're going to kind of hang around other quality people is the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cool part for those of you who are just getting started in real estate, a lot of businesses out there are pretty cutthroat. Like I owned an e-bike shop in Huntington Beach, and the guy down the street from me, like he played dirty, right? It's just the way that those businesses run, because you're fighting for this small customer base in a small area. And I don't like that. That's kind of one of the things that drove me out of that industry. One thing I found in the real estate world is that everyone's willing to help. It's plentiful. There's millions of houses. And so, but one thing I love about the community that we're in the out-of-state investing world is people are willing to share stuff. They might not share their contractor because that guy's busy on a project, but people will open up their black book of their real estate agent, their title company, their insurance, because why not? Like you gotta be a giver, and that helps a ton. I think the ability to share that stuff is super, super important. We could all win here, And the other thing is, like, you have to be willing to be the boss. There's times where I've stuck around because I'm literally like a teddy bear, and there was times where I stuck around too long. Where I had a property manager, I'm like, oh, I'm going to give them another chance. You got to be the CEO and step in and go, they're not doing great, and it's time for me to move on. But there's so many of these people out there. So, go on Facebook groups, talk to other investors. The cool part, the way I teach people to build their teams, real estate agents know property managers know contractors know inspectors, and it's like this massive flow chart of they all know someone, and they want to give you references to their buddies because it makes them look good, and you give them a try. And there's systems in place, technology. Like I literally have like a FaceTime with my contractor today. I don't need to fly to Memphis. I just walked through the house right now and I recorded it, right? So I think that hopefully will take a little bit of anxiety off the plate for people. So what I want to know, this is a question I ask everyone, but in this space, everyone loves to talk about their wins, and I think they're important. But I think we could learn more if we could talk about like the worst thing that happened to you, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah,
and how you handled it, because that's the most important thing.
Worst thing that has happened, probably selling some stuff I should have held on to. Yeah, that's the worst. Buying in the wrong parts of towns, right? Not understanding. I mean, it's frustrating when you have eviction that takes longer. And knock on wood, I've only probably dealt with 3 evictions in the 20 years I've been doing this for. But just one house seemed to attract the wrong tenants. As much as I screened them, whatever, and it always seemed like you work with somebody, and the more you work with them, the more you give them, the harder they are on your property. The victim mentality. They feel like they take it out on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the worst case scenario was probably I just rehabbed a house that was wasn't completely destroyed, but it was definitely rough. And then it got broken into, vandalized, after it was rehabbed. So that was probably the worst case scenario, But I mean, I was still, and I ended up 1031ing that house after owning it for probably 10 years, but it's still a win, It's cash flowing all along the way. The eviction sucked and that rehab sucked, but I just got off that street basically.
Yeah, I think everyone has that one property in their portfolio. I'm dealing with that right now. It's I've had it for a while, and I'm going on my second eviction, and I'm so close just to 1031ing it, but I'm gonna try to do a Section 8 tenant in there this time because the place is nice.
Sure.
There's some sort of boogeyman in there that I can't quite figure out, and what I always recommend it once a year. I don't know if you do this, but once a year at the very end of the year, as I'm doing my taxes, I do a portfolio review. And what I'll do is I'll go, which houses are doing the best? I literally rank them in order, and reasons being like time of attention wise, money wise, and like the future. What do I see for it in the future? And there's really only 3 things that could go wrong with a property. You could buy it in the wrong area. you could have a wrong tenant, or it could just have lots of problems with it. Like those are, because it's old. So if you got to look at, see like what problem is there and how do I fix it? And if those didn't solve it, then maybe there's just no hope for it. I don't know. Or maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. So yeah. So as far, as being able to get through the other side, do you have any advice for people? Because I think a lot of times they'll see these shiny objects with these properties, but they're not thinking clearly on all the stuff that could happen. So can you talk to us about some of the contingencies you might put in place or ways you might analyze it to make sure you're good on the other end?
Yeah, I think like you already said, if there's a way, you can't change the neighborhood, right? If you just didn't do your research and you got into the wrong neighborhood and it's trending worse, probably, yeah, if you can get out of it, right? But you learn something, take it as a win, right? You're going to spend more time understanding the area next time. What was your question, Brian?
So I just want to know, like, if there's any contingencies you put in place. Like, so for me, I always analyze it with, I always think to myself, there's going to be an eviction at some point. I need to put that into the analytics. Like, do you analyze property?
Yeah, yes, definitely that. And, it's like a lot of the pro formers you may see from some turnkey providers, they'll put like, they really won't put much in there for vacancies or maintenance, So I'll bump that number up a little bit too. And then really trusting your research, check your resources when someone gives you a rent number too. Don't just go like, we can rent this house, whether it be the realtor or your property manager. Check it a couple times, right? But if you know the realtor and the property manager and they've always done you right, you again still check their numbers, but they're probably more accurate if you've done 5+ deals with them and they're spot on and they already manage your portfolio. So
yeah,
they want to give you honest numbers too.
I agree. I take every number with a grain of salt, and I just add, like they'll be like, the insurance is $100. I'm like, okay, 150. The rent's going to be 15. Okay, 1,300. And I want to know, like, if insurances go up or rent goes down, that I'm going to be good. And so it's imperative you learn how to properly analyze it. That is the most fundamental skill in investing. And if you don't know that and you're just taking that word for it, you're in a lot of trouble, because we always say in this industry, it's not if, it's when stuff's going to happen. And I think that's a good way to look at it.
I guess budgeting something for a CapEx, right?
Yeah.
Just know, and the more doors you get, the easier it gets because you have more cash flow. But yeah, budgeting something for saving for that larger expense.
Have you ever heard the term, what's worse than having no properties? It's having one.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but yeah, very true.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I kind of laughed, because when I had the first one, I'm like, all the cards are on one table. If you have a roof problem or whatever, but now that I've scaled up, and I know you would agree to this, as you scale up, I'm getting cash flow coming in from multiple properties. So right now I have that eviction. I don't have to take $1 out of my own wallet. I mean, I guess you could say it is my money if I didn't have to use it. But those other tenants, thank you, tenants. They're helping me pay for the eviction because it's cash flow. And that's why I'm going to get to this next question. But that's why it's imperative that we're not quitting our jobs, you guys. Our W-2 jobs are the protection and risk management tool for that. And I hear it a lot in this industry. And you've done really well in your real estate portfolio. So why is it that you haven't walked away right now? Like, why are you still, I mean, probably for the love of the job and the love of the beard that you got going on, but why is it that you have not just said, I'm out later?
Walked away from the fire service or real estate?
For the fire service.
The fire service, yeah. Because exactly what you said. If I did not enjoy my job, I would have walked away. Yeah. And the benefits of the downtime, what we do get, we're able to have great meals together. We're able to work out together. And then if we can use our time wisely, you can build a real estate portfolio when you're at work,
Yeah. And I think it kind of mitigates a lot of the risk too, because people who have these income ceilings where they're capped and there is no overtime, and they'd have to go out and get bonuses or whatever. It's a blessing and a curse for the first responders because it's unlimited. But I utilize that in my mind to be able to take a risk that I probably wouldn't do otherwise. So I'm going, hey, I'm going to buy this place. I just got fully rehabbed and the water heater got stolen. I'm like, yeah, of course I'm not happy, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get through this because I'm going to go pick up a day at work and I'm going to go ahead and get through this that way. But, you know, if you don't have that type of job, you got to have a plan before that. And I think a lot of the newer newbies that come to me, they want to find a way to walk away from the fire department or the police department or being a pilot. They're like, I'm over this. I need to exit. This is not an exit from that until like year 15, 20, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Correct. Yeah. And you're talking exit from once you real estate. Yeah. For the 10, 15 years, if you wanted to exit, you could. Yeah.
And it's nice to know that we have that option. I think it's for me, it's just icing on the cake. I'm trying to come up with a plan of action for the family, for the kids, and taxes and all that stuff. This is not a means to leave the fire service. I love it there. But it will be nice to know to walk into work one day and go, hey, Brian can, well, first off, I can't grow a beard like that, but it'd be nice to know, hey, I can leave here and try to. It'd be cool. That's a good way to have your brain operate, right? But
yeah. And when you do get to that, your financial independence number, it's definitely a good feeling, and you go to work, you know, feeling differently about the job as well. But
yeah, I think I think the irony is doing all this real estate investing has actually made me appreciate my job more. Where there was times where I was in these burnout stages of being a medic, running tons of busy calls, and then all of a sudden I was like, what is actually providing me the amazing medical, the amazing time off with my family, and also providing me the money to go out and build my portfolio. And so I actually love my job even more, despite the fact that I love the guys and girls I work with and I love what we actually do. That is another reason I'm like, wow, it was an epiphany moment. I'm like, I'm so lucky to have this job.
Yeah. The lenders love the cops, firemen that have their 5 years on, right? You're an easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who are kind of curious of what that means, it takes money, but I was always told that, you can get one loan, you get your primary and you're done. No, they want to open up their wallets to you because that's how they make money. So like, what's the rest of your portfolio look like? If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to, but if
I'll share it all. So locations, so
kind of number wise and locations would be.
Yeah. So I'm at 17 properties. All are single family, long term. With the exception of 4 of those are duplexes. But yeah, everything's long-term tenants. I haven't messed around with midterm, pad split, or short-term rentals yet. And I'm just a buy and hold investor. I haven't purchased anything. The last purchase was 2022, I believe, or 2023. It was the last purchase in Florida. But yeah, I have a small footprint in California still of stuff I've had for 10 plus years. I got rid of all the stuff in the neighborhoods I didn't want to no longer be in. Single one property, which it's easy to manage, but I don't recommend. I pick a market and build a footprint, get at least 5 houses there, and then if you want to go to another market, go from there. So we got the Oklahoma property, then there used to be more, but there's 5 left in Michigan and Grand Rapids. And I kind of scaled these all the time. I was all in California, and then prices got too much in California. It didn't really make sense what we thought. So I thought I was going to scale in Oklahoma, but just found one deal and then came across Grand Rapids. It seemed to be better opportunities at the time. So put all the energies in it. Grand Rapids 2015, 16. And then Florida, started 1031ing stuff into Florida in 2018, 19, all the way up to 2022. So there's 8 properties in Florida now. All are new construction except for one that was built in 2002. So, yeah.
Let's see. So, I'll share one of my mistakes. You just reminded me of something that I did that as a new investor, I would recommend not doing, but I was just kind of like throwing darts on the map in the United States. Mm-hmm. So, I have 3 properties in Memphis. I have a bunch in Detroit, Michigan. I have properties in Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, California. They're all over the place. And my recommendation is exactly what Lucas said. Find a strategy. It could be whatever. It could be duplexes, triplexes, whatever you want to do. Hyper focus on it in that market. Get really good at it. Because right now, when I'm doing my bookkeeping and when I have multiple LLCs to take care of, I have tons of different property managers. It is like overwhelming, and I just didn't know any better. And so I think what we'd agree on is if it works in that area, just fill up 3 to 5 in that market, and then maybe jump into a different market. But if you could pick 3 really good markets, don't chase that shiny object. That's what I was doing, and I regret it, to be honest. And so I'm in the process of maybe thinking I'm going to sell a few states and kind of really, because I've started to get really good teams in certain markets, and I'm just going to kind of like focus on that. I think it would make my life easier. So my mistake, but that's a lesson we're here to learn, right?
Yeah, and I'll need to pick your brain on that, Brian, because now that if we have time to talk about it today, but I dabbled as a limited partner in syndications,
Mm-hmm.
and those didn't do well at all, and that's what's bringing me back to this community. I never sold off my portfolio at all, but I'm gonna get back into it. So it's picking the next market that I want to build a small footprint in of 3 to 5 properties.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think there's you just got to do your market research. And I think everyone knows my stance on this stuff. I really love the turnkey world. They have some really good incentives. They have some really good products. And for those that don't know what that is, it's you're buying a property that's fully remodeled, has a tenant in place, professionally managed. It's they give incentives like no property management fees for a year. They buy the rate down to 3.5%. Or sorry, I wish. Wow, not this time. 5.5%. They'll often give you kickbacks at closing. It's super easy. And I always joke because firemen will appreciate this. It's so easy a fireman can do it, right? They're literally just bringing down payment to someone, and they're going to turn it over. That's the type of investing I want to do, and you'll still learn a lot from it. But our team has a lot of really good turnkey providers, and if not, there's other ways to do it. But yeah, I'd love to chat about the markets that I'm in, and some of them are great, some of them are growing quite a bit. They all have their little intricacies, I would say, but yeah, just find a way to do it. And I don't know about you, and I want to ask you this question. I've only been to 3 or 4 of my properties in the whole entire portfolio of now 20. So have you been to every single one of yours?
No. I'm trying to think if I haven't been to Oklahoma. There's only one property there. Grand Rapids, I have some family in Ohio. So a couple years ago, I was like, what the hell, I already owned them.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do a trip and check out some area. And just for myself to get a little more familiar with that city, because I thought I was going to be doing some more investing, but it was a good trip. So just made basically a road trip out of it. And then maybe to half the Florida properties, because again, we were in Florida. So spent maybe a half a day just cruising around really quick, but I think maybe sell half the portfolio. But yeah, I don't feel the need to at all,
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you can.
Yeah.
But it I don't know. I just kind of jumped on board with other investors and learned the markets a lot. One thing I did do is I drove around the streets of Detroit, literally with a AAA map, and I marked off streets that are no-go zones. And I had an agent with me, and we really got to know the area. So when I came home, I felt comfortable. I'm going on my 9th property there, and I literally could tell, like, if something comes up on Redfin and it's a street, I'm like, oh, I'm in, because I know the streets. I feel like I live there, which is great. I don't even know the streets that well in my own fire district, but I probably know them better on Zillow because I'm seeing properties come up every single day.
Yeah.
So this is a total random question, but through the eyes of a fire captain and through a real estate agent, do you walk into houses and look at them a little differently? Because when we're rookies, I used to look at them. All right, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I'm going to go down this hallway, a right turn on the search, and I'm going to be able to get this type of hose line in there. And if I have to pull someone out, here's the windows. I am almost embarrassed to say this, but now when I walk in, I'm like, I would totally remove this wall and I'd push the bathroom out. Like, it's a weird lens. I don't know. Do you ever do that now?
Yeah, I'm very, very guilty of that. Yeah. Or opportunity, but it's, I think both of us work in areas where we probably don't want to invest in, but you see, the hoarder houses or someone that will probably needs to sell, and you want to get on that deal. But
I'm like, I drop my business card on the front here as I leave. Obviously, I would never do that because I'd get fired. But
the house I'm in right now, it was supposed to be a temporary primary, but we've been here 7 years now. But it was actually, I wasn't on that day, but the second story burnt off of it. So we came in and bought it after the fact.
You just love the smell of smoke.
No.
You're like, just keep a little bit of those charred in there so I can.
We got rid of all of it, yeah, which was another story, but yeah,
That's funny.
not a fun
All right.
ride.
You're right on. Okay, so just a couple more questions for you. So do you have a plan to walk away a little bit earlier? Like, because you've been on much longer than me. You said 24.
Yeah, I don't. My plan is I think I'm just gonna go to 50. I have 3 years left, 3.5 years left.
And that'll give you your full pension and everything?
I'd be short. I think I could go I'd probably go to 53 or 54 if I wanted to max out completely. It'd be, again, if I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, I would walk away, right?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I still enjoy going to work, and I don't feel like it handicaps me in the real estate game. It just helps, have more dry powder to invest with or to stack. So
yeah. Kudos to you to get on that early. I don't know if you've seen this in your department. I've seen it a lot more in mine. We're starting to hire, including me. I was 33 when I got hired. Hence why I'm doing all this stuff. I'm starting to see a lot more older hires. And I don't know if maybe the younger generations aren't sure what they want to do or just don't have their SHIT together at that young age to be able to do what you did. But I think that's where it benefits. I mean, either way, if you get into real estate early or firefighting or whatever early, it's great. But I think you're in a great spot. You got a good portfolio. You got on at a young age, and you're keep plugging away. So
very fortunate.
Yeah. What last question? And I think I always like to end with this. And I don't even know if you could answer this because I feel like you've done it the way that I wish every single young person in the country would do it. You were smart enough to get on a good job early, kept out of trouble. You started investing early. It wasn't like there wasn't ups and downs and mistakes, but you just kept plugging away. You didn't quit. Your portfolio is great. Is there any advice you'd give either yourself and or someone who just got on the job at 22? It's kind of the same question, but like you could talk about like what's your best advice for someone like that just is getting hired. They know they want to do something else with their time. What's their first step of action? What would you tell them to do?
Well, first off, you're going to make some mistakes, so give yourself some grace. You're out there doing it, so don't be too hard on yourself. And just you got to take action. Get around good people. I know Brian, myself, we're all open books, right? Go to some local meetups, some RIAs, whatever there is out there to start talking, because most of us that are investors love to talk about it. So find yourself a good mentor, and be smart with that. The option to work overtime, right? Don't let lifestyle creep happen too much, and work overtime when you have your downtime. Always be curious, always be learning, and house hack early on when you're young, before those. That's going to set you up. I mean, if you can get your living expenses down to near zero or even be cash flowing. Don't be afraid or too proud to house hack when you can.
I think we both did that. So what's next? What's next on the journey? Do you have any short-term goals that you're looking to do in the next 6 months, 8 months?
Dig back into what market I want to jump into. There'll probably be some promotional opportunities at work the next couple of years. Decide if I want to do that. That's something I've struggled with a little bit. If I would like to, again, I love the crew I'm with, just finish with them and be happy, or take on more stress and responsibility at work. I don't know. I may finish out where I'm at. Yeah. But just travel more. I have 2 young daughters, so be home with them. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to have you back on. I appreciate your time. The next time we have you on, we're going to be calling you Chief Carter, because it's going to be a super formality. But if someone wants to reach out to you and they have questions about, I mean, we as a recap, we talked about out-of-state investing, 1031s, how to build your team. If anyone wants to reach out, and I know I'm going to speak for you because you already said it, but we love to help you guys. That's why we're doing this. We're not sitting here on our day off just because we're that bored. Like our goals are to help these younger firemen, police officers, whoever, anyone, the younger generation, make the decisions that either we wish we would have made or some of us made. So how could someone get a hold of you? Do you have social media? Do you have, like, you don't have to give out your number, but what's the best way?
Yeah, I didn't document my journey at all. I don't do social media. So the best thing is just reach out to me on Brian's community, whatever the name of it is now, or whatever you decide with the change.
Yeah.
On there and reach out to me. We can get on a call or
Cool.
email back and forth, however it is I can help out. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm here to get people going. Yeah, bounce ideas off each other. All learn from each other.
I really appreciate that. So yeah, as of now, and again, I'll probably change it in 7 minutes, but it's the First Responder Real Estate Academy on School, SKOOL. It's free to join. We do live calls. We talk about stuff. Lukas was awesome. He jumped on a call. We had one of the people in our community was kind of on the fence, and which is totally normal to be on the fence of making decisions. But someone like Lukas, who's got the experience, he's been in the trenches, is a major asset, not only to me, but to anyone that's looking to this. You want to get around Lukas, these type of people who do it, because it's going to save you money, it's going to save you hardship, and I know he's more than willing to help, and so am I. So thank you guys for listening, and I'm going to be putting this out in a couple days. Lukas, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I know if I can grow a beard, we would be twins. We have so much in common, and again, your time and your knowledge is much appreciated. So thank you, Chief Carter. Signing off. See you, brother.